Hey there!
Yeah.
It's Museum Minds for May. And it feels a little weird. And we just heard this little thing that said recording in progress. And Rainey, what's so different about hearing that right now?
Well, we just finished our Museum Minds meetup, which was wonderful, and Beth did amazing, but we didn't record it. So here we are doing it again for you to make sure that everybody can see this.
Right?
But it
And
happens.
it is the irony of doing a session all about imposter syndrome and then like literally pressing record. And where it says record to the cloud, I thought I pressed it. And I must not have. I don't know what happened. But this is the thing that I could totally say to myself, Beth, oh my gosh, you're not cut out for this. And what did you do? And da, 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 da. And then I have to say, give yourself grace. It is what it is. And I have a friend that says, we're good. We'll just re-record it, right? So we now have some systems in place so that we again try not to forget the next time or don't let technology dupe us again. So if you are a future attendee of Museum Minds, hold us accountable for this. We're gonna bring in the community and let other people police us maybe. So when we say in the future, this is recording and you do not hear this session is recorded, let us know. It takes a village, my friends, right?
Yes.
It takes a village. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share the slides now that we gave you that little intro of why today might look a little different than so many of our other calls. So here we go. Let's get started. You made it to the right place. You're at the recording of Museum Minds, and it is May, and we're talking all about imposter syndrome. So, yes, we are recording, even though we always put this slide in.
And I just double checked, triple checked, and we are
Thank you.
recording.
Thank you. Now, see, now we have the systems in place that we're
Mhm.
double checking each other all the time. All right. So, welcome, welcome. It is Museum Minds. Rainy, give it to me.
What is this meetup all about? So every month we see people over and over and over again, and then we see new faces too. So we want to tell you a little bit about Museum Minds. It is a monthly meetup for museum professionals, although we get a lot of museum adjacent professionals as well. Every month we meet and we talk about a different topic, whether it's marketing, fundraising. We've talked about museum stores. And again, today we're talking about imposter syndrome. So hopefully you'll join us every single month. We started this about 2 years ago and we just celebrated our 2 year anniversary. It was really wonderful. But people are showing up and we're having a great time. So if every month you want to meet people, network, and have a laugh, this is the place to be. So we hope to see you every month here.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves on having a
Mhm.
webinar that's a little bit different than the rest. So, with that being said, here's the agenda that we usually follow for all of our calls. We do just 5 to 10 minutes of housekeeping and intros in the beginning, just to kind of set the stage for who we are as folks and what you can expect when you're headed into the call. Then we'll do about 30 minutes or so ish of interactive learning. So be ready in the comments. Be ready to give us some reactions, things like that. We will ask questions throughout our presentations because I'm a play-based educator and we know that that's how people learn best. So we always ask questions and it is a Museum Minds collaborative. So we want to hear about what's going on in your world, things like that. And with that being said, we do the interactive learning, and then we have a Q&A session after that. So we use any of our remaining minutes in the call for questions, networking, things like that. And then For those who are in our communities of Museum Leaders Academy or Art Meets Strategy, we actually do an after party for about 30 minutes after the call. And it's just for our members and those who are curious about our membership communities. So you can always join us if you want to ask additional questions of us as speakers or our guest speakers, or just do a little bit more networking. It's more of like a small group, and it's just fun to get to know people a little bit more. So that is after the call, usually every single month for about 30 minutes. And let's tell them a little bit more about who we are as professionals.
Fantastic. I will start. My name is Rainey Robison. It is pronounced Rainy like the weather. My business is Neptune Sugar, and I help arts and culture organizations with their branding, messaging, and storytelling. And more recently, I have been running an online community called Art Meets Strategy, where I help arts and culture professionals really just get over the overwhelm of marketing. There's a lot of people who are wearing the marketing hat, who are kind of thrown into this position. And it's all about arts marketing and helping you be more successful and to better connect with your audiences.
Awesome. And I am Beth Housewert. I am here. I run the company Inspired Impact, where I do museum consulting, specifically leadership development and strategic operations. I always use my little elevator pitch of I help emerging museums and new museum professionals jumpstart their industry knowledge. So yes, we do that, but also we just have a lot of fun. And I love it when my clients say things like, "You're like the cool aunt in the museum world." And you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it because I love that. That people can chat it up. They find some wisdom, they find comfort, confidence, things like that. So I love running my professional community, Museum Leaders Academy, and doing individualized consulting projects with lots and lots of organizations. So if that has piqued your interest at all, grab some time to chat with either Rainey or myself. Here we are recently in San Diego. It was so much fun. We went to such a cool art museum for their event. Um, but what you see right there next to it is those QR codes. You can just grab a little time on our calendar. We can chat about what you're doing in your museum journey. That's that. So first off, maybe you want to chat with us on Zoom, but I can't not say something about what just happened. And I just realized that in that picture, my eyes are closed. Right? Hey, it works, right? There's probably
But you look
another
very
one.
happy.
I know, I was super happy. I was excited doing the things. This was our in real life Museum Minds meetup. So oftentimes we are here in our Zoom squares and you don't know anything more of us down. You're like, what is the rest of our body? Are we tall? Are we short? All the things. Are we fashionable? Are we not? Who knows? But on that day in San Diego, we all got to meet up. It was so fun. This is kind of in the middle where we had a little crew of folks and we said, oh my gosh, we need to take a picture. And we had people kind of mellowing or meandering in and out of the group. It was so great. It was so much fun. Ugh, Rainy, I was so glad that you came to San Diego because the conference was Association of Children's Museums, which is you can be part of that, but you came to have fun with all these Museum Minds people,
I
right?
did. It was amazing. And it was so great because I've gotten to know some of these people fairly well. And it was nice to see them in the 3D and to see you, Beth, of course, too, because that is the second time that Beth and I have met in person.
Right. And of course, true to fashion, we had to go to a couple of museums in
Heck
the
yeah.
interim as well, and we had a great time. So, all right. Are we ready to jump in to
Let's
the
do it.
topic at hand? It's all about imposter syndrome and how we need to squash that imposter syndrome. Before we start, I have two little slides here, though, because I read every single question in our registration. And I have to tell you that it was a thing. Like reading all those questions and seeing everybody's vulnerability and honesty when talking about imposter syndrome was so good. It was so good. I loved it that people were asking questions that were truly pertainable to their life and what was going on in their own mind. It was so good. And I just loved it so much. So, one of the things that I noticed is that imposter syndrome does not discriminate at all. We had so many responses back. Some people are earlier in their career. Some people have been there for 20 years or more. And the feeling of an imposter syndrome is real in all of those people. And it doesn't go away. So, some of you may have come for yourself. Some of you may have come for your staff. But I want to reassure you that you all belong here because imposter syndrome is so real and it affects all of us, all of us. So, with that being said, you're here, you're in the right place. And I have to reiterate how personal imposter syndrome is. And again, because of reading all of those comments and feeling how much people were able to be vulnerable and things like that, I wanted to make sure that that continues during the call. So, as I said in the live, I wanted to make sure that people could put their stuff in the comments. They could use reactions because sometimes other people are watching this along with you. And I wanted to be able to make sure that everyone still had a space that they could react, engage, and do things like that during the call. So that's what this slide was all about. The next one is to let you know that I am right there with you. I am not here to be some sort of expert about imposter syndrome. I'm literally just telling you what I do when I have imposter syndrome rearing its ugly head. So here's a little animated GIF of what I looked like when Rainey and I were brainstorming the title for this session. I was going through, typing up, using some AI, going back and forth, brainstorming. What is it that we should call this session? Maybe it should be this. Maybe it should be that. Maybe I should focus on this. What do the people want? What would be most engaging? What could tell it like it is? And I just got into the spiral. And I wanted to make sure it was right. And I wanted to make sure it was perfect and so good that then I started thinking to myself, oh, like maybe I shouldn't even teach this. Like I'm literally having imposter syndrome right this second, writing the title. What the heck? And then Rainey said to me, Beth, let's just call it what it is. Let's just like call it squashing imposter syndrome. And I was like, wait a minute. Yes. Like, let's just call it what it is. So I was so thankful to have a friend there just to kind of bring me back and say, Beth, we're going to call it what it is. We're going to name it and we're going to move and we're going to do it. So I just want to let you know that was like a true example of what happened as I was prepping for this call. It's so crazy. Man, we need to give Kermit a rest, right? All right, so let's jump into the content so he can rest. All right, so what I'm going to do today is I have broken down kind of these imposter syndrome noticing things, what to do, kind of how to quiet your imposter syndrome, and then how to really act and make a choice about it. So I've kind of taken today and put it into 3 different sections. So just so you have an idea of what's coming, again, we'll have 3 different sections about imposter syndrome, just noticing what it is, how to quiet it down a little bit, and then kind of making some choices on how we want to move forward. So I did a very similar session to this inside Museum Leaders Academy, and I created this 5-part framework. And it was all about how to really work with imposter syndrome and having a toolkit for us and all kinds of things. So I took a few things from there and I added a couple of new things on there too. I didn't give the whole thing away, of course, because it's inside the academy, but I wanted to make sure that you had some resources that you could use today. Things that you could use that next time you start to get the feeling. And what is that feeling? What is the feeling? How do we know that imposter syndrome coming? How can we notice it? That's where we're going to start. So, here's a question to ponder. Because you're watching the recording, think about this question. Have you ever been excited about an opportunity, but also terrified at the exact same time? Maybe it's that you've been given a new opportunity to teach a new class. Maybe you've gotten a promotion. Maybe you had an interview and they said yes. Excited for what's to come, but also terrified about the unknown. And are you the person who's really qualified for this? And I have to say, in the call, the chat roll, I brought it up here just so that I can reference it. The chat roll was crazy. Yes, yes, absolutely. All the time. Definitely recently, somebody said. Somebody else said every day. Someone said literally right now. Of course, just this morning. Oh, right? People feel it. Oh my gosh, we know this is what's happening. And that's the beginning of imposter syndrome. And it's the beginning of noticing. And I have to take 1 second here and say that is a true leadership skill to have that self awareness, to know that something is happening and just noticing that. And not just spiraling out of control, but noticing what's happening. That is a leadership skill in itself. So, we notice that we feel excited. Maybe we notice we feel terrified. But those are very mind-based things. A lot of times with imposter syndrome, it also starts to show up in our body. Or maybe the body stuff starts before the thought stuff starts. It's happened to me multiple times where I start to feel that, oh, and I'm not sure why. But in the noticing, I start to realize. So let's talk a little bit about that physical side of noticing. Here's your body. Where is it that you feel things in your physical body when imposter syndrome starts to come along? So many options here. And I have to say, so again, I pulled up the chat roll and people started saying, I feel butterflies in my stomach. I feel anxiety, excitement in my chest. Somebody said, I feel like I'm going to puke. Sometimes I feel very small or quiet. I feel a tiredness or a nausea, clenching teeth, flushed red cheeks, a lack of sleep or feeling depressed. They start to get headaches. Oh my gosh, there were so many good things here. And then somebody actually said sweets. And I said, is that supposed to be like you're craving sweets or is it sweats? Could be. And then they actually said, it's sweets. I feel like eating sweets when I have a little bit of imposter syndrome. And sometimes that's just it, right? Somebody even said, I'm a bit hyperactive in preparing for presentations and I don't sleep for days. Oh my word. That is a lot. That's a lot. So, those are some of the things that everybody else was saying. And here's what I was thinking ahead of time, and some of the things that sometimes happen to me. I get these racing thoughts, and sometimes they're just thinking of all the possibilities. And there could be so many. And sometimes they're kind of these negative things that are like, you can't do this. And how are you prepared for this? And why are they picking you? Like, there's so many of these racing thoughts. And then we're thinking to like, maybe we start to breathe really fast or real shallow, oh my goodness. And here's one that's a big one for me. I start to get this tight chest, almost like there's an elephant on my chest. And like almost like I'm about to have a heart attack. Like it's a thing. It's real. Like I literally was on medication for that for a while because it would get so intense that I didn't know what to do. So there's physical manifestations of stress and physical manifestations of imposter syndrome. Maybe it's those sweaty palms or sweets, could be either one. Maybe your stomach drops, or maybe your stomach starts churning. Oh, you have a bad, irritated stomach. Maybe you get the jello legs. I don't know about you, but when I'm really feeling it, like I don't even want to stand up because I'm so concerned about it. And I have to say, like, just having this conversation kind of makes me feel like, oh, you get that energy and you're kind of like, oh, yikes. We feel it in our own bodies for sure, for sure, for sure. And that is a way that we're starting to notice that imposter syndrome is coming. And the next slide, I want you to see that when we start to feel it, sometimes we start to tell ourselves, but it's nothing. It's just a tiny little thing. It's no big deal. Well, here's the thing about imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter what size the problem is. It doesn't matter like the magnitude. It could be like writing your bio because nothing sounds impressive enough. That's small. Maybe it's writing a title for this session. That's small. Maybe you're rereading an email like 4 different times before you go to press send. You're starting to feel it. Maybe you're like staying quiet when you really have the exact right thing to say. That too can be imposter syndrome. Oh, not applying for a role and not even trying or putting in an application because you only meet 7 of the 10 requirements. I'm telling you right now, you apply for that job. This is your cool ad saying, apply for the job and get the practice. It's okay if you only have 7 of 10 requirements. Totally fine. You're a good learner, right? But then we also have to remember that a lot of times imposter syndrome can rear its ugly head when it's the big stuff, like walking into a brand new role and waiting for someone to figure out that you don't know. But guess what? They hired you for a reason. They have confidence in you. They know you're going to learn. You have a quality in you that they admired and they want to hire you. Your personality is phenomenal. You'll learn the rest. It's totally good. Or maybe you're presenting to a major donor when you don't look like what they expected you would look like. I had a friend in the fundraising realm, and she always said, I always surprised people when I walked up because she was more casual and she was fun and she made people giggle and things like that. And she didn't always show up in a suit. But that was also disarming. And the donors loved it. They gave lots of money because she leaned into her personality. So she didn't have to feel like an imposter. She could feel like herself. Or maybe one of those were the question of yourself is, why did they pick me in the first place? Why was I chosen to do this? I'm not qualified. So understand that when imposter syndrome shows up, we notice it and we give it its validation. It's there. It's happening, right? It could be something small. It could be something big. And when we were talking in the call today, a couple people put in the answer to that question, and where has it shown up for you? And they said, when people are ambiguous, when I have to speak in front of other people, when I have to write budgets. Oh my goodness. When I have a public speaking engagement or a new project, when I have too many things or tasks happening all at once, when I'm traveling to a conference, or when I have to answer questions on the why for my efforts. Oh my goodness. When I'm talking to board members, when I have new responsibility, when I have to work with adults. I had a staff person like that in the past, phenomenal with kids. She was the most requested summer camp teacher of all of our registrants. But put her in front of adults and ask her to do a presentation, and she was in tears. I get it. I get it. I completely understand. Oh my gosh, somebody said chit-chatting with colleagues. They're just not cut out for it. I get it. When I am expected to be the expert in collaborative projects. I have something to say about experts later in the call. Or maybe it's someone who says, when I have to advocate for our members or our guests to the managers higher than me. Oh my goodness. These are all such great answers. And I have to say that I kind of do appreciate going back and rereading them on this recording because there's so many that I missed the first time around. It's so good. So good. All right. So let's move to the next thing. Why does this happen in museums? Because you're all here because it's called Museum Minds Collaborative. You're not just here for Self-Help 101 Imposter Syndrome. You're here for Museum Minds Imposter Syndrome. So why in museums does this happen so often? Because it's real. There's me. Oh my gosh, and I thought this picture was so appropriate. There's me back in the day. I look a little bit younger and I have some old style glasses on. So good. But I was off. I think this is at the Field Museum. And I thought this picture was so good because here's this big dinosaur looming over me. It's almost like imposter syndrome that kind of like looms over you. It's there, it's big, it's powerful. But is it? It's a stack of bones. They can't do anything, right? Oh my gosh, that's what I was thinking about with the power or with this imposter syndrome talk. So, why museums? Let's get to it. So, there's a couple of things that I thought about right away when I had to answer this question. Let me see. I think I have three in my notes here, or maybe four. So, first one, museum mind or museum careers are like fertile ground for imposter syndrome because we wear so many hats all the time. And I bet if you have to wear many hats in your role, you do not feel like the expert, and probably like half of them. So that's where imposter syndrome lives. All of a sudden, you're given a task that is not actually your specialty, but you're covering it. Ripe for imposter syndrome. It is the possibility that is happening right there because you've been asked to do something that you are not trained in. So, how can I be the expert? I'm going to doubt myself because, oh my gosh, I've never been a marketing person. I've never had to post on social media consistently. That was part of my role back in the day until I could pass it off. And then put in charge of the whole floor team. What do I do now? I'm supervising the supervisor of teenagers. Oh my goodness. My kids at the time were in elementary school. So I didn't know all the lingo of teenagers. Am I in the right position? Yes. All right. So why else museums? We are a mission-driven industry. We're nonprofit. We do good for the community. And I can tell you that working under a mission is extremely heartfelt. We get wrapped into it because we love the mission. We get over invested emotionally for a lot of this, and we feel like we should. So, imposter syndrome starts to exploit that feeling of working in a mission driven place where we're emotionally invested. Ugh. right? That's why museums, right? Another reason is because a lot of us have small teams and we're carrying a lot in our small teams. We might be doing having the collection. We've been entrusted with the collection. We've been entrusted with donor funds. We've been entrusted with community trust and educating all the people that come in. That's a lot. There's a lot at stake. And again, that's the weight where imposter syndrome thrives, right? All right. Two more things I have in my notes. So what was that? Okay, five things. I said three. Well, maybe there's five, a couple bonuses here. So, two more things. One of the reasons why I think museum people really have imposter syndrome sometimes is because we are constantly evaluated by the public. We are a forward-facing industry where everybody sees what we do all the time. And a lot of times, those people don't mind saying their opinion about them, whether it's TripAdvisor or a Facebook page or, a note that they drop in the comment box. A lot of times people will let us know how we are doing because we're forward facing. So there we go. Another reason that imposter syndrome might pop up in the museum field. Then we have the museum career attracts people who come from somewhere else. So a lot of times you might be coming into your role and you're not actually from a museum. And that makes you feel like you might be underqualified. Or a big one that was in the comments, you don't have a master's degree in museum studies. And I can tell you right now, friends, you are qualified. You do not have to have a master's degree in museum studies. You can learn so many things by being in the building and being actively engaged. I got a college degree in education. Absolutely. And did I use every last bit of what I learned in that college degree to be a museum educator? No, yeah, no, probably not. But what I learned the most when from doing the job and having the experience, it was so amazing. So, so good. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. Now we've noticed. We've validated. We know what it feels like in our body. We know what it feels like in our mind. We know that imposter syndrome can come big, small, all the things, and we know why it happens inside museums. Now it's about taking action. Let's quiet down that inner voice inside of us to kind of get a little bit more of a handle on it. Here's an image that I came across when I just typed in my pictures. I put, "What if you're spiraling?" Here we go. This is a toy from one of the museum stores out in the wild there. And I thought about it. It's like, this is so true. Like a lot of times when a museum imposter syndrome starts to kind of come up, oh my goodness, we just start to spiral and we keep thinking about all these things that we're not qualified for. And oh my gosh, why are they picking us? And I'm frustrated and I'm overwhelmed and all these things. And sometimes we just need to have something to stamp us out. So maybe three little things that you can do to kind of snap yourself out of it. Okay. You've noticed it, you validated it. Now we need to kind of like say, okay, how can I calm myself down? How can I relax? And the first thing that I always do is a bit of a sensory reset. And the cool thing about all of the ones that I'm giving you today, right here, you can do them and no one will ever know. This is the cool part. Maybe you're in a meeting and someone asks you a hard question that you don't know the answer to. You can do any one of these things to just kind of redirect your mind away from any of those hard thoughts that you might be having or any of those imposter syndrome thoughts. You've noticed them. You know that it's imposter syndrome speaking. Now we're going to have a little sensory reset. So the first thing I have is kind of some box breathing. If you're familiar with yoga, if you're familiar with all kinds of different breath work, box breathing really does work. It's the breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts. And you can go through that cycle just 2 times maybe. And it starts to give you back control. Because we talked about one of the symptoms was kind of that shallow breathing or maybe some pain in your chest or things like that. When you take back control of your body and not letting imposter syndrome do the work or be in control, you're sending a very strong message to your brain that the brain is in charge. Not all of these weird thoughts were in control. So do a little box breathing. That's something that you can do. Nobody will ever know. All right. Another thing I do is just a little sensory touch reset. You don't even need anything. You can use a fidget spinner, all those things, a little ball of lint, could be anything. But the easiest possible is just to rub your fingers back and forth and feel the ridges on your fingers. Maybe feel the side of your finger and how that is. Maybe feel the edge of your nail and how sharp or long that might be, or how short it is. Those are all ways to sensory reset. No one's going to know. This can happen in your pocket. And I'm telling you right out, if there is a little tiny piece of lint in my pocket, it's going to turn into a little ball because I constantly am doing that, just kind of rolling it around inside my pocket as a sensory reset to keep my mind in the right place and have control. Here's another one about listening. Think about when you start to feel that you might not be in control. Take control by listening to something that is very close to you, and then listen to what's far away from you. I can hear my air conditioner running and a little vent rattling way over in my kitchen. That's far away from me. But just a second ago, I heard something very close. And it was this little kitty down here giving me a little meow saying, let's be done. Right? So just again, taking back control of your senses and knowing that that shallow breathing and those racing thoughts and those sweaty palms and things like that are happening subconsciously. But take back control. What do you hear? What do you listen? Then the last one that I have in the sensory reset today is a little bit of breathing, but focusing a lot more on the temperature of your breath. When you breathe in, what is the temperature? When you breathe out, what is the temperature? And it might be a smell too. You never know. But thinking about that, it could be a smell, it could be the temperature. Again, you're just taking back control. So think about this one. What are one of these things? Which reset would you use the most? No one's going to see it. It's something that you can always use, whether you're in a big group, whether you're supposed to be listening in a thing, or you're working together with a friend on something and you just feel it. This is a way to get your control back. So in the chat over here, a lot of people were saying, I like breath work. Oh my gosh, there were so many things. Feeling the edge of my clothing, using a fidget. I'm great at breathing. I touch and move my rings sometimes. All of these are great self-regulation. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. All right. So next one, I call this name it to tame it. And I have to say that sometimes when I am reminded of what I've done in the past, I think to myself, why am I thinking this way? It's like someone else is speaking. Like this imposter syndrome is like this other person out here who's telling me these things. It's like the mean girl in high school or like the bully who was, like talking nasty on the football field or something like that. It's like there's a whole different personality that's there. And sometimes when you just name it and you say, "All right, Izzy, imposter syndrome, the maiden of imposter syndrome land, it's time for you to take a backseat." And sometimes it's easier to quiet because you give it its own personality and you know that it's not you. So there you go. Like if you name that imposter syndrome talk and tell it to hit the road, Sometimes that's a really good tactic because you're taking that thought process and reminding yourself that it is not yours. It's someone else's. It's imposter syndrome's thought process. So then you can reframe back on what you know is true. What are the past projects you were super successful on? What are the other jobs you've done that you've been amazing at? There's so many cool things that you can think about that are successes that kind of put imposter syndrome or Izzy back in her seat. That's enough, girlfriend. You be out, right? So I think it's kind of fun to give it a name, a little inner critic in your mind, whole different person, right? All right. So then let's move on to the last one for let's see, quieting. This one I call the compassion flip. And I have to say, this is one that I so love because it is based in love and support and things like that. I can tell you, this is a little gift that I have sent out to a few of my coaching clients. And it says in Morse code, beautiful badass. And I want my coaching clients to remember the way I see them. So when they start to have those imposter syndrome thoughts, or they're not quite sure about what comes next, they can remember the way I see them. And I can tell you, this is not my idea because I've got one right here that I got for Christmas over 2 years ago, and I have hardly taken it off because it is a constant reminder to me that my friend who gave this to me for Christmas will forever believe that I am a badass. And there's another word in front of that that's a little bit sassy. But when I buy these for business, I put beautiful badass in front of it. Right? But it helps me to remember to flip that compassion. If I was talking to a friend and they were struggling with those thoughts, what would I tell them? And then tell myself those things, right? And then here's a picture of my museum bestie. I love this. These are the little cards that I put up at Interactivity on the bathroom mirrors advertising Museum Leaders Academy, my membership community. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the conference, I get this message from my museum bestie over there. And it was just like a little extra, like, you got this, girl. Let's do this. I thought it was so amazing. So good. It was great. All right. So, last thing we're going to talk about is choosing. You did the noticing, you know, imposter syndrome was happening. You were quieting it. You did some of those reset things. You took back the power. Now we're going to do the choosing. And this is a mindset shift that I use often when I get put into really weird situations. And here we go. So when someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer, do you feel like you're a fraud? Do you feel like you should know? One of my friends always used to say to me, don't should on yourself. Right? Exactly. But here's the question. When you don't know the answer to a question, do you feel like a fraud? Yes, sometimes we do, sometimes rarely we do, or maybe we're just really, really good at faking it, right? And again, in the chat roll over here, I have often, sometimes, all the time, like I have to remind myself that I'm learning and I can figure things out. Fantastic answer. Oh my gosh. Sometimes they say I could fake it better than making it. Well, like, oh my goodness, this is funny. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. And they say, sometimes I feel this way. And then somebody said, I love the answer. I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, so good. So good. And I'm telling you, that is like the perfect segue here. Oh my goodness. Right? Because now is when you get to choose. You get to choose Whether you are in the room to be the expert or are you in the room to be the leader? Because there are two dynamically different ways of thinking about the situation that when you roll into it, you feel like you're a fraud because you don't have the answer. So here's how I chunk it out. If you are going to be the expert in the room, you will have all of the answers and you will know all of the details to a program or a project or exhibit or your role, all the things. And you are being the authority in the content area. And that is your choice to be the expert. But remember when we talked about museum work? Like, we can't be the expert in everything. So then we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice then to be a leader. And here are the great qualities of a leader. We're asking the right questions and we're asking good questions. We're bringing people together. And when we're not quite sure, maybe we're making decisions with the information that we have right that moment. That's being a leader. It's a strong quality and a skill. Yes. And maybe we're making the choice to really see the bigger picture and not focus on the tiny details, but to lead in a way that you're looking for the bigger picture. Or you're maybe creating space for expertise in other people to shine. Maybe you don't know the answer, but you know someone who does. So this is your way of choosing. Are you going to be the expert or the leader? And I'm telling you, choose the leader. Choose the leader. You can always ask a good question. You don't have to feel like you don't know. We can find out. Yes, for sure. And here's a good one. Museum leadership is interdisciplinary by design. Not being the expert in everything is not imposter syndrome. It is literally your job description. You're wearing many hats. You're doing lots of things that maybe you weren't trained to do. That is museum work. And that's where imposter syndrome happens. So here we go. The next time your stomach drops and your chest tightens and your thoughts are racing all over the place, that is not a signal that you don't belong and you don't know. It is just your cue to quiet imposter syndrome. Do the sensory reset, name it to tame it, have a little compassion flip, and choose to be the leader. So there we go, friends. That is what it's all about. Imposter syndrome is going to happen. It absolutely is. The way that we handle it and the way that we work with it is the best part of it. Because that is where we learn to quiet it down and to take back control. So there we go. That's imposter syndrome for today. I have a couple extra things to chat with you about. And then I know that Rainy's going to come back on and she's going to talk to us a little bit about her projects that she has coming up too. So let me tell you one thing before Rainy comes on about being a leader. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about the next way to kind of gain some confidence and bring that imposter syndrome back into the backseat is by coming into Museum Leaders Academy. It's that professional community that I talked about. You can pop in as a member, join us for free, and you can go in and see the Education Ninjas mini course, ask a question on Ask the Community. There's also all of the Museum Minds replays in the community. So many good things. And then, of course, there is an opportunity to kind of level up and become an insider inside the community. And that's where you get weekly calls with me for office hours with all of our other community members and our special insiders chat as well. So we've had lots of really, really great conversations. Even this week, we have some accountability conversations. We're really celebrating some big wins that happened, both in fundraising goals and one of our members ran a marathon this weekend. Holy camole! We're here to celebrate all the things. It has been so incredibly fun. All right. So also, Inside of Museum Leaders Academy, I run a 7-week leadership accelerator. And this is one that is specifically designed for people who are new to supervising staff. And by new, I mean our last cohort had someone who was a couple weeks in, and we had someone who was 3 years in, still considered new in my mind. So it's a lot of really great content, all about being a new leader, one-on-ones, writing budgets. Well, honestly, a bunch of the things that people talked about earlier that give them imposter syndrome. So this one also has a nice leadership lag with group coaching and some special one-on-one coaching just with me. You can find out more at newleaderslaunchpad.com here or scan that QR code. The next cohort is starting in just like 2 weeks on June 1st. So get your information in here. And Rainey is back. She's going to talk to us a little bit about what she has coming up as well.
All right. I'm realizing I should have had a QR code on there, but if you get this recording, you're also going to get an email with a link to my Art Meets Strategy community. So Art Meets Strategy is built for that person who I know is a lot of you, that person who is wearing the marketing hat in your organization. So regardless, hop into the free community. Inside the community, there's all sorts of live events. We have, in fact, on the next slide, in just a second, I'll show you, we have a social media audit, we have a coffee hour, we have a content planning party. There's a course called High Impact Arts Marketing. All of this is for free. However, recently, just 2 weeks ago, I launched the Arts Marketing Studio, and I just wanted to say it is not too late to join. We have already done 2 sessions. This is the pilot program, and we have had a really great time. It's basically small group coaching. So if you have ever wanted somebody to, sit with you, look at your marketing and guide you through a process so you can have a plan, this is for you. And again, you can still join at, next slide, the founder's price of $99. So like I said, this is the pilot program. And even though if you missed a couple, you might want to hop on now because the next round in the future will be quite a bit more expensive. And again, there's a lot of small group coaching and all of the people in there right now seem to be getting a lot out of it. So all you have to do is join the community. Inside the community, you will purchase the premium membership if you want to join. But if not, next slide. Again, we have all sorts of free stuff in there too. So if you want to hop in, just peek around and be part of a community where you can ask questions and get answers to how to promote your organization, this is the place to be. But consider the Arts Marketing Studio too. So
Awesome. So good. We have so many things going on all
I
the
know
time,
so many.
right? I love it that
Mhm.
we always are trying new things and like literally turning imposter syndrome on its head
Mhm.
by saying, you know what? Let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? Like we're not going to die. So let's try it. So we do all kinds of cool new stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, Rainy, you want to tell us about next month? Because you know Carrie better than I do.
You have been doing a lot of talking, so I would be happy to talk about this. So every maybe 3 Museum Minds meetups, we bring on a guest because I know a lot and Beth knows a lot, but there's a lot of people who out there who know things that we don't know about. And this is actually a friend of mine, Carrie Bennett. Her business is Learning Through Difference, and she is a specialist in conflict resolution, which is a topic that we keep getting asked about. So we wanted to bring Carrie in to talk about this. So she's going to be helping us define what our conflict resolutions or conflict style, I guess, is and different ways to resolve it. Because I know we all end up in situations that are uncomfortable, and she's going to give us the answers in terms of how to solve that conflict. So it's going to be a lot of fun. She's great. She has a lot of energy, and we'd love to see you all next month as well.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are getting this recording via email, there's going to
Mhm.
be a link right there. For those
Yep.
of you who might be watching the recording otherwise, you can always find out what our next topic is by just going to museumminds.com. It's mind like in your
Minds.
brain, museumminds.com. And that's going to give you the most up-to-date topic that's happening and
Mhm.
also that registration link. once you're on our mailing list, you will always know what the next topic is. So even if you can't make it to this one, but you always want to be up to date on what's coming up, make sure that you sign up. We'll send you the recording, and then we'll always keep you up to date on what's coming next. Alrighty. That was squashing imposter syndrome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching the recording and bearing with us as our double up is happening. But we wanted to make sure that we had it for you because there were so many people with so many great registration questions and also a ton that emailed saying, "Are you going to make this available in a recording?" So here it is.
Here it is.
We're so glad that you guys were here today, that you were able to watch the recording all the way through up until this last second, right? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
We'll see
thanks,
you again
everyone.